Hello, and welcome back to my channel, Secret Star Soul Healing. I'm Secret Charlotte. So, I decided to come on as this is the summer solstice, and so I just wanted to come on and see what spirit messages there were for us, for the collective. So, a little bit about the solstice. As you probably know, living in the northern hemisphere, this is the longest day of the year, the shortest night, and it's the opposite down in the southern hemisphere. And this is just a nice time of year to just start thinking about, where have I come from? Where am I going? So I actually was looking up some of the Celtic rituals around summer solstice. I'm fascinated by the Celtic culture. I have Scottish and Irish ancestry, which ties back to the Celts. And some of the ways that Celtic people celebrate on summer solstice is they light bonfires at night to honor the power of the sun. And sometimes couples will jump over the flames to help stimulate fertility, or some people do that for wealth. People will make flower crowns out of yellow flowers specifically. People will decorate their homes with yellow flowers, yellow crystals, honeycombs, something to represent the sun, essentially. And also, before I made this video, I asked Spirit to imbue the video with healing energy so that anybody that found the video at any point will be able to experience that healing energy if you're open to that. And about a week ago, I was meditating about summer solstice because I was thinking it would be a good time to deliver messages from Spirit. And I asked Spirit what is something that the collective should be focusing on right now or could be focusing on right now. And the message I received was self-reflection. It was a good time for self-reflection. And that makes a lot of sense because we're about the halfway mark, a little over the halfway mark. A lot of people make New Year's resolutions, right? And so now is a good time to check in with that or with any other goals that you might have and decide, where am I with my goals right now? What do I need to do to make what I want to happen by the end of the year? Also, I want to say that maybe you don't have goals right now. Maybe you've been too caught up in other things. You're just surviving right now. If you're feeling any better at the moment, it being summer, maybe now is the time to make some goals and see how far you can get along your path in the next 6 months. Also, I want to say that not everyone is goal oriented or not everyone wants to put a lot of pressure on themselves. And I get that. I used to make I used to make New Year's resolutions, and invariably I would fail at my resolutions. And so I just started to feel too much pressure and I just didn't care for that. So it doesn't mean that I don't make goals. I do make goals, but I don't tie it to a certain day that I have to start or a certain day I have to finish. I mean, I know, of course, in life, let's say you have a thesis due, of course, you have to tie a goal to being done with your thesis by the date it needs to be done by, of course. But, with other things like developing skills, you want to get better at writing or better at painting or whatever the case may be. Sometimes, if we're too goal oriented, it might sort of kill the creativity or create a situation where you're putting pressure on yourself and it doesn't become enjoyable and you feel guilt about it. So I'm not saying that. Talking about whoever this is useful for. If you're somebody who making goals is useful for you, um, you know, and maybe you don't want to tie it to a time period, that's great. So I don't want anyone to feel pressure. I personally am not one of those people who works better under pressure. So if you're not either, I get it. But I still have goals and I still check in from time to time. Where am I with my goals? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and open this reading. So I want to do a quick purification. As I said, I already meditated ahead of time. All right, so what does Spirit want us to know? What is for our highest good to be thinking about around the summer solstice concerning our self-reflection or goals or anything else? All right. Okay, so the first deck that I wanted to use is called The Hero's Journey. So I was attracted to this deck because it was created in honor of Joseph Campbell. Joseph Campbell is famous for having studied myths from around the world. And he wrote a book called The Hero with a Thousand Faces. And really, it was about how if you go and study various cultures, there is something very similar about all their heroes' stories. So, for example, the hero starts out in a small town, just really wants to leave, goes out, has adventures, is changed, and then comes back a changed person, but then learns to appreciate home, you know. So another thing that was interesting about that to me, I'm a Star Wars fan, and George Lucas based the story of Luke on that hero's journey. He basically followed that path for his character. And I think they actually made a PBS special. I want to say Joseph Campbell and George Lucas actually spoke to each other, had interviewed each other. If anybody knows about that PBS special or saw it, say something in the comments. I would love to hear more about that. It's just like a vague memory I have. By the way, I'm also a Star Trek fan, so when people say you have to be one or the other, that's not true. I'm both. I hope I don't offend anybody. I love Star Trek and Star Wars. All right, so that's why I wanted to choose this deck because I think we're all heroes in our own stories, right? And so we're all on our own journeys. So I just wanted to see if Spirit had any message using this particular deck. All right. Oh, okay. So this card is the Breadcrumbs of Bliss. Heed your pleasure principle. Okay, this is so perfect in a lot of ways. I remember that one of the famous sayings from Joseph Campbell is follow your bliss. So he basically was saying, figure out what it is that makes you happy and pursue that as your goal, pursue that as your career or however you want to think of it. And so he's pretty famous for that. Look that up, follow your bliss. So basically, advice from Spirit is if you're following your bliss, as long as it's something healthy, of course. And that's kind of what's leading you along your path. That's really the source of your goals is getting better at something you love doing, painting or the guitar, music, writing, playing basketball, whatever it is. If it's something that makes you blissfully happy to engage in, then go for it. As long as you're working on something like that in your life, you will be happy, and the better you get at it, the happier you'll be. So that's what I'm going to take from that message. All right. Okay. Next, I want to pull three tarot cards from the deck that's called the Celestial Tarot, which I thought was fitting because we're talking about celestial bodies, the sun, the earth. So just to see what other advice we could get from Spirit about our time of self-reflection. What do we need to know about reaching our goals, checking in about our goals? Okay, so the first card I get is the Chariot, which makes a lot of sense. The Chariot is all about success. Now, the Chariot can have a couple of meanings. One is you're on a successful path, as long as you are following your bliss and you're working towards your goals. It could be a little, it could be a lot. It's whatever your pace. So pace yourself however works for you. Like I said earlier, if you're someone who a lot of pressure does not work for you, then just take it slow and steady. If you're somebody who actually that pressure works great for, throw yourself into it. So the Chariot also has to do with using your intuition to help you with your goals, to help you with your success. So just tap into yourself. Just check in with yourself. Check in with your heart. Is this really what I want to be doing? Make sure Make sure that your goal is not something that's put upon you by society. Like, oh, I have to do these certain goals because society says, or my parents say, or it's expected of me, right? Check in with your own heart and own self because, if you're not following your bliss, if you're doing something to make other people happy, you're not going to be happy in the long run, you know? A lot of people get to the end of their lives and they realize that too late. I mean, in some ways, it's never too late to follow your bliss, but they might feel like they wasted a lot of time following a path that others put them on that they didn't really want to be on. The chariot also speaks to being careful not to let things get out of control. If you're driving your chariot too fast, you're going to spill out of your chariot. So also just make sure that you're not overworking yourself, like, of course, a healthy pursuit of your goals is wonderful, but if you are pulling all-nighters or just not giving yourself a chance to rest and refresh, then that's going to be counterproductive. All right, I'm going to see what the next card. What's another piece of advice from Spirit here? Next card, Star. Wow. These are major arcana. Very exciting. Okay, so the star, basically, there's a couple of meanings for that as well. The star can be a representative of hope and protection. Um, so, I think it's kind of a card of never give up. There's always hope. You can get better. It's easy to get down on yourself. You're not meeting your goals. You were hoping that you would have published a short story by now. You were hoping that you would have been able to sell your first watercolor painting at this point, or you were hoping you would get on the team this year. Whatever the case may be, just keep that hope alive. Keep going, keep striving. Sometimes slow and steady wins the race, so there's hope. The star is just a really positive card too. So we got these two major arcanas right now. So there's a lot of power cards happening. All right, let's see what else Spirit has for us. Oh, Ten of Swords. So that's an interesting card to get right after the star. So the Ten of Swords can often mean the ending of something. So that's something else I should speak to. Sometimes the goals we think are going to work for us don't end up working for us. So, it may be time to let go of a goal that you've been hanging on to for a while that no longer serves you. You know, it might just be time to have a new beginning. So the Ten of Swords really is, some things just need to be finished right now. Sometimes you just need to let it go, you know? Some people, I'm thinking of my students. This just reminds me, I've asked some of my students, what do you want to be when grow up or when you go out into the world? And they're like, oh, I want to be a professional soccer player. And I'm like, that's great. You should definitely shoot for that, but also have a plan B. So maybe, when this person becomes an adult, he can keep playing soccer with his friends or the local team. Maybe he can't be a professional. That doesn't mean he can't keep playing soccer. He can't keep getting better. He can't find other ways to follow his bliss and play soccer. But, sometimes you get past a certain age and it's probably not going to be a professional soccer player, but, so sometimes at a certain point we have to let go of some of our goals and check in with ourselves and figure out maybe something else we can do. But again, the goal of being a great soccer player can still be there for this person, and the goal of getting to play and have fun and those things, you can still do all those things. But maybe the professional part, we might have to let go of that goal. So there's a way, you know. Also, this just reminds me of some goals out there that people might have around weight loss or something like that. I'm thinking because it's a Ten of Swords, it makes me think a lot of people out there are thinking to themselves, I just need to lose 10 more pounds. How many of you out there have in your closet that pair of pants or outfit that you could wear when you were in your 20s or 30s, and you keep thinking it's a goal, like it's going to motivate me. I want to wear this dress again. I want to wear these jeans again, whatever it may be. And if you could just lose those 10 pounds, right? You could just lose those 10 pounds, you could finally fit back into your skinny jeans again. And I would say, especially if you're getting older, I mean, not that you shouldn't be healthy and not that you shouldn't exercise. You should definitely do those things. Eat healthy, exercise. You want to be comfortable in your clothes. Don't try to keep squeezing yourself into something that's not comfortable. So sometimes that could be a goal that maybe you should let go of. I'm going to lose those 10 pounds. I'm not saying you shouldn't have a goal of losing weight if that's making you unhealthy, if that's putting a strain on your heart or if that's putting you closer to diabetes or something like that, of course. But figure out for yourself maybe why you have that goal. Is it, again, because of how people on the outside are going to see you? You know, Sometimes maybe it's time to just give those jeans to Goodwill. Just give those skinny jeans away. Maybe it's time to move on and, be healthy, feel good, get plenty of exercise, water, rest, um, eat right. But our society just puts so much pressure on us to be a certain size, and maybe it's time to let go of that goal for your own happiness. So I'm just gonna leave that there. Okay. I'm gonna pull another card to sort of round out the whole idea of this being a journey, reaching our goals. This is from the Sacred Travelers Oracle deck. So just to kind of keep us on that theme of journeys, I'm going to go ahead and pull a card from here. All right, Spirit, what is a message you could give us about our journey, our hero's journey as sacred travelers through this life? What's something else? Oh, I love this card. Okay. So this card says the answers are within. Taking shelter, the answers are within. So that was basically what I was saying just now, which is, you have to figure out what makes you happy. You're on your own journey, your own hero's journey, and it's time to follow your bliss. Okay. Most of us are not happy following somebody else's ideas for what we should be doing with our life. So look within yourself. What makes you happy? What could you do to be able to spend your time doing that? What has to happen so you're able to do that? Yeah. So that's basically the message that we had previously. And yeah, I really appreciate that. All right. So I've got two more cards I want to pull for you. Trying to figure out which of these. Just gonna flip that around right here. It's like this might be a little closer. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna pull from the Shaman's Dream. I just want to get some further advice. I felt like these cards were more about the journey of reaching our goals, of making ourselves happy, figuring out what makes us happy. These ones, I think, could be along those same lines, but also maybe what's some further advice on how to be happy, or could be about reaching our goals. All right, Spirit, message of advice. Message of advice. Dust Devil moving out of stagnation. Okay. So this card, to me, again, like I feel like we keep getting a similar kind of message, which is, if you are doing something and you don't love what you're doing and you have the choice of doing something else, try to figure out a way to do something else. I remember that when I was in school, in high school even, I was talking to somebody. We had just taken our aptitude tests, and this person saw that accounting was going to be great for them. And so they were all in. They're going to be an accountant. And I said, "Oh, do you love numbers? Do you enjoy accounting?" And he said, No, not really. I mean, I'm good at math, but I don't really have a particular interest. I'm like, oh, why are you going to pursue that? Oh, because I'll make a lot of money. And I remember thinking, okay, making a lot of money sounds great, but if you're not doing what you enjoy, you're going to spend the majority of your life working, right? Until you're able to retire. So you're spending the majority of your life doing something you don't really like. I mean, we sleep the rest of the time and we have weekends. So yes, you'll have money, but how much time do you have enjoying having that money? So in any case, I really, stagnation could be from doing something you don't really enjoy. Maybe you've gotten stuck and you haven't made progress on your goals, and so maybe it's time to clean out the cobwebs, clean out the dust, um, figure out what you need to do from now until the end of the year to help you get closer to your goals or just closer to being happy, you know? So take stock. All right, so I'm going to pull one last card, and this is from the Inner Child deck. And this is going to be our final message from Spirit to close the reading. I chose this deck because it's summertime, and summer really brings out my inner child. I loved summers. I love summer still. And summer just brings back memories of just swimming, in the river, in the lake, in the pool, going to the beach, going camping, going hiking, ice cream on a hot day, so many wonderful memories. And so my inner child comes out to play during summer. I also want to mention that this deck is a good deck for if you're doing some shadow work and trying to comfort your inner child or heal your inner child. Sometimes as a logical person, you can say that, you forgive something that happened when you were a child, somebody who maybe wasn't the best influence on your life when you were a child. And logically, you can say, well, they were going through a tough time because now you're an adult and you know how hard it is to be an adult. So you might look back and say, oh, I forgive this person. They were going through a hard time. They didn't mean it. They didn't mean to hurt me. But sometimes logic does not heal emotional pain. And so sometimes we need to do some other kind of work to get through those feelings, to let those feelings go, because logic just and emotion just don't always understand each other very well. So this deck is also good for that. But in particular, I chose it just because my inner child is happy it's summer. I hope your inner child is happy it's summer as well. All right. So this message says, be present, find clarity in the moment. Oh, I like that. So I don't know if I can get I apologize. I don't think this is focusing in very well. Let's see if I get closer to the camera. Kind of. So in any case, it's a really beautiful card. Be here now is kind of what it makes me think of. Um, so in terms of, it's important, of course, to have goals, but at the same time, if you are so focused on the future, then you're not going to enjoy the now. And so don't forget to enjoy the now. Don't forget to play. Don't forget it's summer and go out and play. One of these things about summer that I love is the days are so long. And so that means that I can get a lot done, which is a mix of work and play. When it's dark early, all I want to do is hibernate. I don't know about you. I don't get as much done. I just want to just curl up on the couch with a blanket, when it gets dark outside. So now is a really great time to not only be productive, but also to enjoy yourself. Take some walks in the evening when things cool down, get some exercise, um, go out in nature, do fun things like swimming, camping, hiking, drinking cocktails, on the outside patio of your favorite bar or barbecuing or whatever the case may be. But remember to enjoy the now, enjoy what you have. It's important to try to make sure that you're happy and do what you have to get to that end goal, of course, without harming others. I hope that goes without saying. But, having gratitude for now is also important and remembering to enjoy yourself. Yeah. All right, folks, thanks again for coming to my channel. If anything I said resonated with you, I would love to hear your comments. You can type those down below. If you have some experience with Joseph Campbell or know about him or saw that PBS special, I would love to hear about that as well. And so like, share, subscribe if you like the kind of messages I'm bringing to you from Spirit. And once again, thank you very much. And I hope everybody has a great rest of your summer solstice.